Well, hey everybody, welcome to today's program. My guest is a dear friend. I got to know her of all the things through the word flamingo. I will explain what that means in a minute, but now I've been obsessed with watching flamingos. The Tampa airport has a giant flamingo in it, and every time I see a flamingo, I think of Katie Hornor. But she is truly the Christian speaker advocate, and we're going to find all about that in today's episode. Welcome. Hey! Somebody just posted a picture of the Tampa airport with the giant flamingo, and I'm like, Katie, I wonder how she's doing.
Her name is Phoebe, by the way.
Oh, she has a name.
She has a name, yes.
That is so fun. Do you know the history of that, about somebody put a giant, it's so big, it's weird.
I don't know the history, unfortunately, but I do know she has a name, and she's one of the favorite things of Tampa.
That is just so funny. All right, how long have you been speaking on stages?
Over 28 years.
Yeah, very good at what you do, but you didn't set out wanting to do just that.
No. I set out to be a missionary overseas. From 9th grade on, I knew I was going to be in ministry somewhere outside of the U.S.
Were your parents in ministry?
My parents were in business. My dad owned his own company since I was born in the construction industry. And,
okay, I'm missing ministry, construction. Okay, try again.
But so my father's best friend in high school became a missionary to Ecuador.
Ah.
And so my dad, being in construction, always had a heart for missions and ministry. And one of my earliest family trips was to Ecuador to go help his friend with a building project that the missionary never had the time or the funds to do. And so that's how I got introduced to missions. We always had missionaries in our home talking about what God was doing around the world. And that was my desire ever since I was small, was to be a part of it.
I think that's amazing. Now, how did that permeate through college and stuff? Were you pushed towards getting a real job, or did your parents very supportive of this?
Oh no, I was very much headed to the foreign field, and everything I did, I just decided every decision I make is going to be in that direction, unless God completely shut the door and sent me somewhere different.
Wow, where was the first place you went?
Well, the first place was learning Spanish in high school. And then when I went to college at 17, I decided to study education because I didn't know what country I was going to yet. And I knew that if I could get into any country as a teacher, I might not be able to as a missionary or a minister, but I could get in as a teacher. And so I was a natural teacher. I loved speaking and teaching, and so that's what I studied.
And when did you meet your beautiful partner and husband?
You don't know.
Wait, I'm so sorry. We don't know.
We don't know. We were in the same groups of people in college. He was a missionary kid since he was 15. His family went to Mexico when he was 15. And then he came to college a couple years after me, and we hung out with the Spanish-speaking kids from all these different countries to practice our Spanish and be a part of the culture that we loved. But he was interested in someone else, and I was interested in someone else, so we don't actually remember meeting officially for the first time. But then after we were married, we have photos that we're looking through, and I was like, I don't remember
really
you being there that night, but here we are in this group photo together.
That's very funny because Joshua and I were both in LA at the same time, never met. He moved to St. Petersburg, Florida at the same time. We never met. And I feel very divinely guided that we bumped into each other. Can I say in a hotel room in Las Vegas? It's a long story, but it's been 8 years and it's worked out really well. But I would imagine if you were watching like these angels going, let's get them together. Oh, darn, that didn't work. Let's do it over here. That didn't work.
Well, and the other thing was my family, when I was in 9th grade, my dad uprooted us from where we'd been in North Carolina all of my life and took us to Texas for 1 year so that he and my mom could learn Spanish, so that when they went to these mission trips to do construction projects, they could speak the language and not have to pull the missionary away to translate and interpret for us. And so I spent 1 year in Texas at this language school, and the apartment that we lived in, when we moved out, my husband's family moved in 2 doors down when his parents went to study Spanish. And we never met at that point.
So there's a higher power doing their thing, pulling some strings. How long ago did you meet him?
We've been married 22 years.
We'll just start at that, yeah. First kiss, marriage, anniversary, 22 years. How many kids?
Years. 5 kids.
Interesting. So you guys, did you go on a mission as a minister or do this before, teacher before you got together?
I was going to be a single missionary because I didn't know God wanted me married, but I did know he wanted me on the mission field. So that was my goal. If he brings a man along that fits in the picture, great. If not, I'm still doing what I know I need to do.
Okay.
And so I went to Mexico after I graduated with my bachelor's, and I was working with a small church to start the Christian school, and Mexico denied my ministry visa and sent me home.
Oh, wow.
And so I just said, well, I may as well go back to school then. If I'm going to get a graduate degree, I may as well do it now. And during those 2 years was when we met and started dating.
Isn't that funny? Where's the first place you went together?
The first big date I remember was to the beach, which is very prophetic because I love the beach.
And then you went to a country. What was that?
We went to Mexico. After we got married, we spent about 2.5 years paying off our school debts and raising ministry support to go to Mexico as missionaries. And our first child was born. And in 2007, we went to Mexico.
Now, how old are the kids now?
She is 20 now, and the youngest is 11.
And do they like the lifestyle?
They do. Mexico is home. It's all they've known, really. And it's interesting having grown up in Mexico and then coming back to the States for vacation, visiting family, raising more support and things like that. They see the differences a lot more strongly than I see them, culture-wise. And but they're great kids. I think like I'm just so proud of them. They're all doing wonderful.
If someone doesn't know what it means to be in the ministry world, explain it for me.
So in our case, we were what you call independent Christian missionaries. And so we weren't sent by anyone specific. We felt the call of God on our lives to go and do, in our case, we started at a Bible college ministry. And so we spent 2 years visiting different churches in the United States, expressing our desire and what ministry work we were planning to do, and asking them to essentially promise support or pledge to give to help us go and do this work overseas. And so some months were really good. Around Christmas time, everybody seems to dig a little deeper and send a little bit more. And then there was some months where there was a lot of month left at the end of the money.
Oh, interesting. But you also have a very profound business sense.
Yes.
And what I love about what you do is, we were taught money is the root of all evil. I teach lack of money is the root of all evil, because then you want to grab, and it seems we're taught very strange things, aren't we?
Yeah.
How does business and ministry fit together for you?
The actual scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil. So making money an idol in your life creates all sorts of problems.
Yes.
And, that was one of the things where when we wanted to start a business as ministry folks, we got a lot of pushback, a lot of criticism from other people in ministry and other family members who didn't believe that was what we were supposed to do, that it wasn't, here you're supposed to trust God for everything you need. You've given your life to ministry. How could you start a business? It was as if business was a less than career than ministry. And what my husband and I learned going back to the scriptures and searching it out for ourselves is God has a lot to say about business. He has a lot to say about money.
Well, he has to, because he lives in a hotel room. No, just kidding.
And so we really had to dig deep and say, what does God say here? And what does he want for me? Not what does everyone else want for me, but what does God say, and how can I live up to that? And
I have a really crazy question. Feel free not to answer it. When you hear God, how do you hear it?
I hear him often in scriptures that I've memorized that he brings back to memory at the right time. And I hear him often through pictures he puts in my head of things to come. Sounds a little weird, but
no. I hear whispers. I recently lost 35 pounds and did a whole weight loss journey because somebody told me go for it, and there was nobody there.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just I know that I'm living and giving as he wants me to do today, and so this thing that I want must be in alignment with that, and it's a gut feeling that I need to move forward.
Okay, I'm just curious because people who are not in touch with that. Have you met those people?
Oh, yes.
Why do you think they don't hear it?
I think there has to be a definite choice there. I think you have to want to hear it. I think you have to be willing to be open to it.
I think you just have to be quiet. And I think we were in a very busy world.
That
Was it you who said that you heard the wings flap of a bird? Somebody I was talking to
No, it wasn't
yesterday said they moved to such an isolated place. I know who it was. It was Jan. So she moved out to a very isolated, and could hear, it was so quiet, she could hear the flapping of bird wings. And I think I grew up in a very busy city, and there's always things. And now that with phones and computers and traffic, there's so many distractions that you lose even who you are.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Now, how does this fit with speaking?
Well, I've been, speaking all along. Speaking, teachers speak a lot. In ministry, you speak a lot. Some of our first ministry things were leading classes at the university, speaking with the students. Later in church planting ministry, we were doing women's conferences. Once I started the online business, then we also realized we could use that for ministry. We had some women's conferences online in Spanish. And so the speaking has just always been something that I did. But when I started the business, I realized I need to get better at this if I want God to use it the way I think he will. And so I deliberately sought out teachers and trainers, put out the money, made the investment to be able to continue to increase my skills. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I will say, love speaking.
I'm telling you, I host a speaking training because I didn't see what I wanted. It's funny how we do that. As an actress and an artist and a performer my whole life, who's done crazy exercises from improv to walking like an animal through things, or spending an entire year learning how to listen. I had a training where you were not allowed to professionally work, but you had this listening training. I'm like, okay, now I hear everything way too clearly, but thank you for that. And I put all of that into not only business, pitching, and then the techniques that you get from being a speaker. Because I'm watching a lot of business speakers, I'm watching a lot of people, I want to say a lot of men, who walk on stage in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, walk out there in front of thousands of people like, hey, how's it going? So like, let's talk about the internet. And like, I'm like, what are you doing? I think for me, that speaking on a stage is the most sacred place I am. It is, I hear downloads, I get ideas while I'm there, I feel heartbeats. I mean, I just think it's genius. And then I'm so bold as having everyone turn on their flashlights, and then I just see God. It's like, this is just magnificent. And I love it. So I took all of the things that I do, and I know we've talked about this, because I don't know anyone who does that aspect, then the business aspect, because it is a business.
Correct.
To be a professional speaker means that you are contacting event planners. You understand timing. You understand someone does not want you to go over in your time. You're clear in your subject. A lot of things and technical things and then you can get paid as a speaker, but my favorite is not to be paid as a speaker, but to be allowed to perhaps pitch or sell what you do from that stage, or enroll someone into something. So where a paid speaker might end up with $10,000 for a paid gig, which is great, not paid speaker might end up with $100,000. And not look like they're selling. That's my favorite, because everyone says, oh, Forbes, there's no pitching here. I'm like, I know, it's okay.
You do it so well too.
I wake up in the morning, honey, could you rub my neck? He does, it's a pitch, I win.
Right.
I just think pitching is a life skill. You and I are here.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And I like to say that sales is sacred.
Thank you.
I believe that it's a service that I provide to people. I'm not asking them to buy me or to pay me. I'm asking them to invest in themselves for the transformation that God wants to work in their life.
And I'm going to go, hallelujah, hallelujah. No, but that's how I feel. It's got nothing to me when you're through the training. That kind of money, I can make money anywhere.
Yeah.
But to see the transformation, the growth, seeing people step into their own greatness is one of the things that I love so much. So much so that I created a little event called FredX, because after 7 years of not getting accepted as a TEDx speaker, I finally figured that out. And again, it's so interesting when you're in touch, you get handed lessons. And what I love in life is chronicling those lessons. So for TEDx, 7 years ago, thought, I love this idea. I want to do it. So Mel Robbins and Brene Brown loved it. I reached out to Tampa Bay and they called me. I'm like, oh my God, they called me to tell me, we don't want you. Like, what do you mean?
You're too good.
What? Well, no, they didn't say that, but they did say, there's no pitching here. And I'm like, that's fine. I teach pitch. I'm not going to sell anything. Oh, no, we know you infomercial HSN QVC girl. You're going to try and sell something. And they hung up. And I was shocked. And then I came to realize many years later, they might have been right. Because there was a point there where if you were in the room, you were leaving with a spin gym. I just could not stop selling. But as I've evolved, and I finally got my yes, and then I watched my daughter get her TEDx because she pitched the organizer. I'm like, there's something so poetic about this. And then I said, you know what? That's a big organization. I want to do a smaller version, so we launched FredX,
Yes.
Forbes Riley's educational experience, and you were one of my first guests.
I was.
What was that experience like?
I didn't really know what to expect, actually.
Neither did I.
I knew you were doing this new thing. And at first I had a competing event and wasn't going to be able to attend. And so when that canceled, and I happened to see someone say that you had a cancellation, and so there was another seat open. So I reached out to the team and said, all right, can I come? I didn't know what I was getting into. It was after I got the information that I briefly looked over, and then someone messaged me and said, what are you speaking on? And I was like, what?
Yeah, there's a 5-minute speech. But this is really important for you at home to understand. So right before, you had no idea what you're going to be speaking about. It's a 5-minute slot, and we had awards. Mm-hmm. We had 32 speakers. We only had 7 awards, and you, my girl, won one of them. What was the name of your award?
I won the Impact Award.
Do you remember, what was it about your speech, do you think, that resonated so loudly?
It was a very personal story that I shared about how when I published my first book, it empowered my grandfather to put his words in writing and publish his book. And in his book was a story that turned around and saved my life eventually. I learned for the first time through his book that someone else in my family had overcome depression. And that was something I was battling on the mission field. No one knew. I was countries away from family and support systems with small children and postpartum depression. And I didn't know what this was like. I'd never experienced it before, never been around someone else with it. But when I read that story in his book, it gave me what I needed to overcome, to recognize it, to overcome it, and to get help. And, you know, the message of what I shared in that short part, when I have told the story, it's part of a much larger keynote. But that 5 minutes that I shared there, the point was, you need to take action with your message, because you don't know who is waiting on your message to be able to change their lives, save their lives potentially, and maybe even your own. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. But if you do nothing, it also has an impact.
You've just started an organization. What's the name of it?
We have just started the National Christian Association of Professional Speakers.
And its mission is?
The mission is to empower Christian speakers to excel in their delivery, in their content, in the business behind speaking, because I believe that...
Well, you know what? Would you look at my audience,
of course,
and tell them directly and inspire someone to reach out to connect to you?
So the National Christian Association of Professional Speakers exists to up-level Christian professional speakers so that you can be the best paid, the most sought-after speakers in your industry, whether it is a faith-based industry or a secular industry. Because I believe that when we do our business with the love of Christ and with excellence, we can change the world.
And I believe you're right. I'm very proud of you from the time that we first met, the growth, the books that you've done, the messaging that you've done. There's an elegance about how you go about your business. I love that you're a mom. I love that you're faith-based. And I love that you're just absolutely, there's this joy. I remember when McKenna said that you were coming, I'm like, really? Katie Hornor's going to get to meet her in person?
Yes,
and
with flamingos in tow.
Yeah, you know what? It's been extraordinary getting to know you, and I think that your movement and what you're going to do, and also just inspiring faith-based speakers to speak not only on faith-based stages.
Yes.
Because their messages can be bigger, need to reach more people. And I think the world would be a much nicer place if we all believed.
Yes.
And loved each other and practiced golden rules.
Right.
Do unto each other. That I cannot imagine why that doesn't work. It should.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, when I was growing up, there was a lot of teaching around shining the light, giving the gospel in other places, but there was also this sense that the Christian and the secular should not mix. And as I went from full-time ministry into full-time business that gives me more ministry than I had before, I realized that it's a misconception. Whatever gift God has given you for your industry, whatever industry that is that he's placed you in, like, that is the most sacred thing you could be doing. And whether or not you name his name in your actual speech, you shine his light everywhere you go. Forbes, I've been at events with multi-million-dollar business people and walk down a hallway after a session and someone will grab me and say, "What is it about you there's just this light, like, what is it? You know, and it opens a door for a conversation.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you get to choose to take action or not. And I don't think you have to be obnoxious with your faith to make an impact. I think you can do it through the way that you live, the way that you love, the way that you do business. And that's what I want to see our Christian speakers doing in every industry across the board.
How do people get involved and find you?
Our website is ncapspeakers.org, ncapspeakers.org.
Any final words?
Come join us.
Come join us. There you go. Guys, I told you this was going to be a very powerful episode. I'm a huge Katie Hornor fan, and I'm going to be supporting her organization. I hope you do the same, and I look forward to seeing you on a future episode. Bye for now.